Okay, welcome back to the Baby Then What podcast. I am here today with part two of my hormone journey episode. Part one got a lot of traction. You guys are really into it. It sounds like a lot of people have gone through similar stuff as me. It's really not spoken about. Often, like postpartum, like the first 6 months to a year, yes, your hormones are going to be a bit crazy, but to experience crazy hormones 2 years postpartum was really strange and tough for me to understand and comprehend. So, I think a lot of people have gone through similar journeys, and I think it's really important to keep talking about it. So, today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's happened in the last couple weeks with me, where I'm at. I'm going to tell you about my protocol specifically that I'm on. And I'm going to talk to you about some extra toxic swaps that I've been doing and changing in my life to help me get better. But basically, where we left off the last time was I had crazy periods, crazy hormones for like the last year. My periods were really heavy, like massive blood clots coming out, soaking through tampons really quickly. I had a 3-week long period just in March, which was really insane. And it completely depleted my body. So I had gotten blood work done. It showed that my iron was extremely low, my hemoglobin was really low, and I was stuck in this vicious cycle of basically when you have low iron, it causes you to bleed more, and then when you bleed more, it causes you to lose more iron. So you really gotta stop that cycle. But what I did, the first thing that I did was I saw a functional medicine doctor. So I had seen regular doctors that were basically gaslighting me, telling me to go back on the pill, which, yes, it might have fixed my symptoms in the moment, but it would not have fixed the underlying cause. I saw a naturopath, which is good. She definitely was more aligned to what I was doing. But then I saw a functional medicine doctor, and I'm in Toronto. So I saw someone at the Vegas clinic, and she was so holistic in what she recommended that I do. Like, she asked me to do my blood work. Then we bought the Mira device, which I've spoken about, and we did a whole other bunch of testing. But the first step that she wanted to do was to balance my hormones. So she gave me a very specific protocol that was just for me based on the data that she had seen so far. And I want to preface that in functional medicine, they're very much about treating the root cause versus the symptoms. However, in the process of treating the root cause, the symptoms do get better. So I don't know. I used to find this stuff to be like voodoo schmoodoo. Like, are supplements really good? Like, do they actually work? Is this just like an industry trying to make money off of you? And I think if you just take supplements off the counter without a proper protocol, yes, it is just like random mix of things that could do whatever. But if you're seeing a doctor who's really knowledgeable, knows what they're talking about, understands how all these things play together, it makes such a difference. And I think so basically beating to the punchline after a year of fucked up periods, fucked up hormones, all the things. This last month, I'm happy to report, I had a 7-day period, 7-day long period, and it was completely normal. And I didn't have like excessive bleeding. I didn't have any heaviness outside of the ordinary. On day 7, I went to go put my mega super jumbo tampon in and was like, whoa, I don't need to wear this. So it's working, which is like the best, most exciting thing of all. I feel way better. I feel like I look like not dying. Amanda always tells me, she's like, you look white and like dead, which makes sense because my body was never like functioning well. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I did and some other things and what I take. But the other thing I want to also say is that conventional medicine gives you ranges on your blood work, right? And those ranges are what's normal, but it doesn't mean it's optimal. So my iron was not only low, it was like really low. But even if I got my iron back to like what would be considered normal, it still wasn't optimal. Like, you would still want to be in like a higher range. So why I like a functional medicine doctor as well is that they're not just trying to get you back to like a baseline, they're trying to get you to feeling the best that you can be and optimizing your health so that you can feel good, because like it's fucking impossible to parent, work, do all the things if you feel like shit. Okay, so I'm gonna read you, I have my notes because it's an intense protocol. I will link the stuff as well, but I'll explain a little bit of it so that you guys can understand this. So binders. Binders are basically something that pull the toxins out of your body. So I took something called biotoxin binder. It helps like remove mold, yeast, bacteria, yucky stuff from your body. You don't want to take it with food because it will pull that out as well. But I've taken things like Pectosol, biotoxin binder. I've taken activated charcoal. That's if you're really sick. So there's a bunch of different ones you can take, and I just take that in the morning right before anything else, and it just kind of helps clear things out. Another one I took was a liver and gallbladder support. If your liver's not functioning properly, you can't clear things, toxins from your body, so you have to get that going well. The iron that I took, so what was recommended was something called Hemevite, which was a fumarate iron. I'm reading this because I'm not a medical expert, but what was really important was the type of iron matter. So before I was taking this iron, I was taking just like a regular iron off the counter, which was fine, I guess. But you have to take iron away from coffee and with citrus to help you absorb it more. If you take it with coffee, it's like, might as well not take it. I think it's within 2 hours. And you wanna get, like, a really potent iron. Again, talk to a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor. So Hemevite was one that was recommended, and then one I actually took because they were out of that one was called it was basically a beef liver spleen thing. It was kinda gross and smelled like dog food, but it worked, and it was from a brand called Kodaj, and I took 3 of those with food every day for the last month. But another thing to note with the iron is that my now we're gonna test my blood again because my doctor said she doesn't want me to be on iron indefinitely. So you wanna be on iron enough to get your iron up into the optimal range, but then once it's in that range, you wanna, do it more from diet, food, etc. And if I'm not bleeding so crazy anymore, I don't need that same supplement. And another thing I took was FemGuard and Balance. That was to help balance my hormones, eliminate excess estrogen. We did the mirror device too. So that's, again, I'll get to it in a second, but it was so interesting to see my hormones like go wild. At one point, I had my peak when you're supposed to ovulate the like day before I got my period. So like when she was reading the results, she was like, this is all over the place. Like, no wonder you've been feeling like shit. Your hormones are really bad. But now that I've had like one normal cycle, we're starting to see it, track better. But it's so good to have data, and like you can make such better decisions when you have the data from your blood work, from like a hormone testing kit, from anything that you could get, because you can't create a custom plan for yourself if you don't have that information. And the one thing I will also say is that people in conventional medicine will be like, well, why do you need this testing panel? Why do you need this? Why do you need that? Like, you really have to like advocate for yourself and say, like, I want to get these blood tests done because I want the data. And they shouldn't be able to say no to you. They should be like, okay, fine. Other things that I did was a castor oil pack. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but you basically, it's like a thick oil that you like put on a cloth and you wear it like around your tummy at night. And it also just helps your liver pull toxins out of your body. Magnesium glycinate, that's really good for you too. Helps you sleep, helps calm you at night. Magnesium citrate, they're different. Magnesium glycinate is calming. Magnesium citrate is like makes you poo, makes you go to the bathroom. So just be careful which one you pick. And then the other thing that I've tried to add on, this wasn't from the doctor specifically, but just something I was learning about was mouth taping. I found this brand Tape Her, which was great. It's really like light and easy to use. I thought I was gonna hate it. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna wanna sleep with something on my mouth. But truthfully, now that I use it, the nights that I don't have it are actually a worse sleep. So it helps promote breathing through your nose, which is the way you're supposed to breathe at night. Mouth breathing causes a lot of issues. Like, I find personally when I breathe through my mouth, I'm like more thirsty. I want to get up. I want to drink water. Then I have to pee. It's like a whole thing. Whereas when you mouth tape, none of that happens. So if you're trying to think of something new and you're having issues, like this could be another easy, like low cost, low, investment type option for you. And then the other thing that like I've been doing just in general, and I said it before, is like reducing all the toxin load in my life and just going, glass, no plastic. And so it's funny, actually, I launched that other episode and the Netflix documentary came out on plastics and how it affects fertility. And I think a lot of people who might not have like gone down the rabbit hole of this non-toxic living world have now sort of caught on to like there might be something there in terms of my health not being optimized given what's going on in my environment. And it's funny, I said this the other day, you spend so long trying to keep your baby alive in the beginning, like, you're on the feeding schedules and the sleep schedules and, like, you're watching the baby and making sure and all these things, and, like, you get to year 2 and they're walking around and talking and doing and whatever, and you're like, "Not only now do I have to, like, physically keep them alive, but I have to keep them safe from, like, the poisonous world around us," and, like, how do I do that as best as possible when, like, feels like every way someone's trying to get you, like, with plastic this and crap in your food and all of the things and yucky materials on clothes and it's so overwhelming. So someone said like, how do you manage that when you send your kid to daycare or school and it's not in your control? And I think my best advice is to try and be as perfect as you can be in your home because you do spend a lot of time in your home with your kids, and so that when they do go out into the world in places that you can't control as easily, the toxin load is just not as high. So if you can do glass at your house and non-toxic cleaner in your house and all the things, then like, they are being exposed to it in other ways, but it's just not as bad. Okay, so that was sort of where we got to for my first protocol. And I did all that for the last month. And like I said, it resulted in feeling way better. I have way more energy. I'm not tired. I have my normal period. What else? Yeah, so that was basically round 1. Then the other interesting thing we did, and this was something I wanted to do in addition to all the stuff, was the mirror kit to deal with my hormones, but then we did this other thing called like a gut zoomer. Basically, it was disgusting. It was like a urine and stool sample that you had to like send in. I had to drive around it with it in my car. It was disgusting. But it gave me a lot of data and a lot of interesting things that I would have never known had I didn't do it. So I've talked about parasites before. This test does test for parasites. However, parasites are very smart, and oftentimes it will not show up on your test as having it because by the time they do the sample, parasites will like have decomposed and they're gone. So if you have a good doctor, they can read between the lines and you'll have other markers on your test that could be very elevated that will then tell you there's something going on. So I had a few markers that were really high, like off the charts high. And my doctor was like, this is basically confirming that your body is trying to fight something. It is constantly working to like get something out of your system. She's like, it's very likely parasites and other things. And so that was a huge finding. A second huge finding was that I have mold in my gut, which goes back to what I had a hypothesis a couple months ago. I was drinking coffee from my coffee machine and I was getting these insane stomach aches, like debilitating, lie on the bed, couldn't move for like an hour stomach ache. And it had not been anything I'd ever experienced before. And so I did some research and I'm like 90 sure that my coffee machine had mold in the wire. So like I had one of those ones where like you click the button and the water goes through and grinds it in the back, whatever. I'm convinced that it had mold in the wire somewhere. And every time I made a coffee, a little bit of mold would get in. And when we did this test and the fact that there was like mold in my gut, I just feel like it was all connected. So I'll tell you at the end, I have some toxic swaps related to that, but it just goes to show that like, again, you need the data to understand what's going on with your stomach, and because the stomach is connected to the brain. It's like it's all connected. The other thing that she found, which was really interesting, was that I had really low toxic, like myotoxin load. So these are like microtoxins. So all of the work that I've been doing, like removing the plastics, removing the Teflon, removing the toxic cleaners, all these things that I've been doing, she was like, I'm actually really shocked that your load is so low. So it just goes to show that it actually works. Like the load on my body is lower than it could be relative to like, she's like, normally people's things are like off the charts and mine wasn't. So we also got very specific on which bacteria were living in my gut, the good and the bad. And you can very clearly see what bad bacteria you have and what good bacteria you have, which will help you pick a probiotic that's right for you. So if you, again, look on the internet or anywhere, there's like 90 types of probiotics and different brands and this thing and that thing. And you might be taking a probiotic that you don't need, or you might be thinking you're taking something that's helping you and really you're just like overdoing it and making too much. It's all about a balance. So I didn't really know that, and I didn't know there were like so many types. You might need something different than me. So again, if you can do these things, like it does give you data to then optimize it. I'm sure if you took any probiotic, it would be helpful to an extent, but again, you want to be doing stuff that optimizes your body. I will preface that all these things were out of pocket and they're not cheap. Like, you personally was struggling so much that like I was like, I don't really care what I spend because I'm like so sick that I needed to do something differently. But I can understand that like this is not like the gut zoomer thing was like $1,000. Like that is not an affordable price point for everybody to do. But I would say if you were gonna do it for like one time, like that was it. Like there's not a second cost. And then if you had to get like a subsequent test, then you could just like pick certain components of the test the next time, and then it would reduce your costs. So look, people spend money on everything, right? People spend money on clothes, people spend money on shoes, people spend money on their health. Like you have to kind of decide what's important to you and whether you want to spend the money on something like this, because it's definitely not cheap, but there's things that you can do to reduce your load, and then there's things that you can do to like improve from there. So going back, I do want to bring this up with the mirror thing. So somebody asked me when I posted the mirror device, they said, does it stress you out that your results are not aligning to like the mirror averages of like what's normal? And my response was, no, it does not stress me out, because all of these, even with the gut zoomer thing too, they will give you back results for the average of, what's normal. So it's all a range, number one. And number two, they're using data from all these people's tests of what's normal. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's normal for you. Like everyone is so individual and so different. So don't be stressed if your stuff is not like in the exact same range as everybody else. Like you have to just work to your baseline. Like that's why having these like multiple tests over time is really the best thing that you can do, so that you can say, okay, my first test showed this, my second test, it's higher, lower than the last one. Like that's more important. And specifically with the Mira stuff, like I feel like, yes, there's a normal cycle around 28 days. Like, yes, it should be around, 5 to 7 days. But at the end of the day, like before I had all this shit, my cycle was consistently 40 days, always, no matter what. And I thought that was like, someone was like, that's fine, that's normal. If you're having the same thing every single month, like that's your normal. So I wouldn't get too fussed and stressed about a lot of these things where you're falling like outside the range, unless you're like what was happening to me with like a 3-week fucking period. Like that is not normal and requiring medical intervention. But your period's 32 days, you ovulate on day 17 instead of day 13, like whatever. Okay, so back to protocol number 2. So the biggest thing with functional medicine is that they'll put you on a protocol and then they'll keep shifting it, right? So they're going to put you on something, you're going to take what you're going to take, and then they're going to monitor you and then check your blood, and then we're going to do something differently. So now that I've done my April protocol for as long as I did, we're going to move on to like a different protocol for the end of May and June. I'm going to switch the binder that I'm taking. So instead of the biotoxin binder, I'm taking an HMET binder. This one's going to target heavy metals. So different binders target different things. Really what I've learned is that you're just supposed to switch it up to constantly be pulling different things from your body. Not one is necessarily better than the other. They just like do different things. I'm going to go back to the Parasite cleanse. So I've linked it before, but I use this brand called Cellcore. The first round that I did way back when was Para 1 and Para 2. Now I'm going to do Para 1 and Para 3. The reason why they're different is that they target different parasites. So Para 3 is more like tapeworms, roundworms, and you cycle 3 weeks on, 1 week off. So I'm going to start that maybe in the next couple of weeks. With the Parasite cleanse, it's not, you don't really have to do that many different things. Like, I think you're supposed to reduce, like, what you eat from, like, sugars and carbs and that kinda stuff. That was the other thing. I had leaky gut, meaning, like, my gut lining is not tight, so all of the toxins in my body are, like, leaking out to my body, so I have to stop eating gluten because that makes the gut lining more open. I don't know. Anyway, I am going to reduce my iron. I'm not gonna really take iron anymore pending my blood test comes back with okay iron. I'm gonna take a supplement called Tributyrin X, which is supposed to help repair my gut lining, which showed me on that gut zoomer test. So I have to repair that. Then I'm gonna take a specific probiotic that's for the back replenishing the good bacteria that my body is low in. And I'm gonna still keep doing all my other things, like, I sometimes sauna to help get my toxins out, I still do the castor oil pack, the magnesium, all those things. But the biggest thing, like, someone asked me, "Why do you keep changing the protocol?" And the reason is that you have to, like, continue to work with your body, like, your body's now gonna heal one aspect, and then you learn something new, and I wanna heal that, so it's like an iterative process until I mean, I don't think it ever ends, I just think, like, over time, you can maybe pull back some of the things that you don't need to fix, and then maybe you just have more of like a maintenance type thing. But I want to just talk about because the toxic swaps is such a big topic, and I do think that is the easiest, simplest thing that you guys could do in your life to make yours and your kids' life better. Like, yes, you could take all these supplements and see all these doctors, and there's so much of like making your own health better through doing all that stuff. But there's also so many lifestyle things that you could do that are easy and don't cost more money and don't cost more effort. You just have to know. I'm just going to tell you what I do. Obviously, do your own research and take it with a grain of salt. But this is what I use, and it's been working based on the test. So the biggest one is laundry. We have gone to a non-toxic laundry detergent. I use the brand called Truly Free. It's unscented and it comes in like a little packet. You can do like a monthly subscription. I also use that for my cleaning products. So like my everyday cleaner, bathroom bowl cleaner, like we don't use anything from the regular drugstore. It's all this brand, which is like super low toxic. Honestly, if you want to go even more intense, you could literally do like vinegar, water, and a little bit of baking soda. I also wash all my fruit and vegetable in vinegar and baking soda in water. Like I just dump it all in the sink, pour vinegar, pour baking soda, let it kind of like zhuzh around, and then it's supposed to take off all the pesticides. Because even if you do organic, I'm like not so sold that it's actually organic. Creams and skincare, they call them crunchy moms. I don't know. That's like the term for people not being like super like no tox. But anyway, I use a beef tallow cream or castor oil cream. So I don't use any of like the fancy brands. There's one brand called F Bomb and the castor oil. I don't know. All of these companies have the same thing. Just make sure if you get castor oil, it's in a glass bottle and it's supposed to be like non-hexane or something. I don't know. You just chat GPT it or something and say like, what's the most non-toxic castor oil and find a brand like that. Mouth tape, like I said, I use the brand Tape Her because it's third-party tested and doesn't have like PFSAs or other things. Like you don't want to be putting sticky on your face that's going to then cause more toxins in your body. So again, find a brand that doesn't have stuff in it. Water. So this is a really interesting one. I would suggest getting a special water filter at home. It's called reverse osmosis. Basically, it pulls out all of the crap from your water so that you're drinking really clean filtered water. You can also drink spring water from glass bottles. Like we do not use plastic bottles, like 0%. We either use filtered water from home or we buy glass water from a store. Obviously, if you can't find it on the one occasion, you can drink a plastic water bottle, you're not gonna die, but would not be my first choice. The one thing I will say though is that if you do this reverse osmosis water and you take out all the minerals, because you take out the good and the bad, you have to remineralize your body. So I take a mineral that I just like pour on my water every morning. I use something called Minerals by Quinton. It's just like in a little glass vial that you dump in. They sell it in a big bottle too. But basically it's just remineralizing your body so that you you're not low on minerals, which are naturally in water. I think spring water might have more natural minerals, so you might be good if you're just drinking that. I've said this before, cookware, get rid of your nonstick. Throw it out. It is not good for you. If the Teflon scratches, especially, it's like fully leaching shit into your food. Get rid of all your black plastic spatulas and everything. That is like recycled electronics. Yucky. Throw it out. Use wood or use stainless steel. That's the best one. Get stainless steel pans, get stainless steel utensils. I even have stainless steel cutting boards now. Like, there's now people saying that the stainless steel can like get into your food. You just got to go with the least worst option. And I think that's what it is. In the baby category, I would do glass bottles 100%. If you were going to warm your baby's milk or formula up, hot, cold, please use glass because the plastic, you don't want to heat plastic. That is the number one reason. I feel like the Netflix documentary probably went into a lot of detail on this, but when you heat plastic, that's the worst thing. So like if you pour hot soup into plastic or you put like hot milk into plastic, that's the worst thing you can do. I understand glass is not the most convenient because like it can break, duh. But you can put like, they have these things like these like silicone things on the outside. Elk and Friends, that's the water bottle that I got from Elk and Friends. They have that like silicone wrapper on the glass mason jar cup. Something similar like that you could put on your glass bottle. It's not going to be a problem. And if it breaks, you'll clean it up and you'll buy a new one. Not a big deal. Speaking of Elk and Friends, that's a brand that me and Amanda love. It's such a good kid brand. It comes with the color, so it's really fun. They have stainless steel, they have ceramic. I like both. I prefer stainless steel if I'm doing like outdoor stuff just in case it breaks. Obviously, ceramic is nicer and prettier and whatever, but both are great. And on the kid note too, sun protection is it's a big hot topic. A lot of people will be like, you have to put sunscreen on your kids. You don't want them to get burnt. People are going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but I don't put sunscreen on my kids at all. Zero. I don't think a single sunscreen is safe. I've done a lot of research that sunscreen actually causes more harm than good. That is not a conventional message. Many people will be like, you're fucking insane. But that's what I feel is the right decision for my kids. So we do like sun shirts, we do sun hats, we do like those SPF shirts like that basically protect them. So they're not protected. I'm just not putting sunscreen on their faces and bodies, which I think is helpful. And we also don't eat a lot of like seed oils and food dyes and packaged foods. Like we make almost everything at home. Obviously they go to a birthday party and they eat it because I'm not going to be like a gross mom and be like, no, you can't eat that, even though I wish I could. And last but not least, my coffee maker. So I had one of those fancy ones that you like send the espresso through and it makes a thing and gave me mold poisoning. Then I went to like a really conventional drip coffee maker, still has plastic in the back, so hot is going through the plastic. Then I went to a French press, way better. Now I'm at a Bialetti, which basically is like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, there's no plastic at all. There's no plastic in my coffee and I've never felt better and the coffee's great. That was a lot of information. The one thing I'm still looking for is a good deodorant. I had Primarily Pure and then it gave me rashes because it had baking powder in it. So that one I haven't figured out yet. So if you have a good natural deodorant, like actually natural, not like native or so natural, it's not natural, it's filled with shit, let me know because I really don't know where to go with that one. I just rambled for a lot. I hope some of these recommendations help you. I'm not here to guilt you into doing anything. If you use any of the things I told you not to use, I really, it is do what you got to do. Motherhood's hard enough without someone telling you how to do it. I only say all these things because it's helped me in my life. I feel a lot better. I feel like my kids do better when they have the toxic load is a lot less. And I just feel like the more we can speak about things and if people can try small things in their life to change it, like we should be feeling good and we should be enjoying our life and feeling optimal as we go through like this most exciting time of our motherhood journey and watching our kids grow up. So I'll continue to keep you guys posted on this journey and the next phase of my parasite cleanse. And if you have any questions, as always, hit me up. I am happy to share and have a great day, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.